Hi guys, what is going on, and welcome back to another video on Conqueror's Blade. Join me on a very rainy day in the UK from a hotel room, so the audio may be a little bit shaky, but I'm not back home till Friday, and of course they annoyingly released the season midweek when I'm not at home, so I couldn't get anything recorded, but I've got my microphone with me, so I thought we'd dive into it a little bit, because actually it's kind of, quite exciting, but there's quite a lot to talk about with it, because it's not just the season, we're also making quite a few changes kind of along with it. So that's what I want to kind of cover in today's video. So, new season. The Persian Empire, the ancient Persian Empire. Like the idea, I think it's kind of, since they've done a Roman season, it's kind of opened up the ancient world, and I think that's actually a really cool thing. I think the Persian Empire is pretty cool. I think it fits quite well with the theme, and some of the graphics and stuff we've had so far and some of the video footage actually looks really kind of cool. So we've got this going to be coming on the 24th of November, so not actually that long to wait before we're going to be able to get this season release. We're also getting a new hero class alongside new units and some map reworks, and that's kind of what I want to break into first. So I'll probably end up playing the trailer a little bit in the background, but to be honest, you probably have already seen it. But let's talk about the new weapon class first, because it's kind of interesting, some good and some things I guess not necessarily bad, but I'm a bit concerned about. So we know it's an assassin type class, it's using a chain and a dagger. Obviously it shares quite a lot of similarities to what Dual Blades is in Conqueror's Blade at the moment. I think it's probably reasonable to say that fighting against Dual Blades is probably not most players' favourite experience. And now we're introducing a chain that sounds like it's going to potentially be able to pull enemy heroes towards you in a sort of animation lock similar to the maul grabs type effect, and I'm not necessarily sure that's going to go down particularly well. It sounds like from what we've read, yes, it's going to be able to hook enemies into a devastating attack and deploy smoke bombs to retreat to safety. I'm assuming these smoke bombs are going to work in a similar sort of way to the invisibility that the Dual Blades get. It's sort of the way that it can sort of hop back, go invisible, and then basically escape. So it's going to kind of be interesting to see how that plays out. Presumably it's going to be a light armor class, so it's going to be fairly fragile, but it's going to be quite interesting, I think, on the first. It doesn't actually get released at the season start, it's actually to the December the 8th, but it's going to probably unleash a little bit of chaos when that comes out, I think. So it'll be interesting to see how they've done that. At least I hope they've thought about some of those concerns in the design. If they have, and they've done it carefully and kind of balanced it, I think it will work really well. Certainly looks very cool. They're just kind of some of my reservations at the moment, and I hope it gets deployed carefully. That leads us on to the new units. We've got 3 new units coming this season, 1 3-star, 1 4-star, 1 5-star. Let's start with the best, the Camel Lancers. Really cool. I like the idea, the fact they've introduced camels into it. Fits in well with the Persian Empire theme, and really cool. We've got something different from horses. And I like the fact they've said their speed may not match horses, so they've acknowledged that camels aren't as fast as horses, and they've sort of played into that, but their stamina is a lot better. I really like that. They've done the camels, they've done them properly. Easily, so far, at least in terms of looks and what we see in the video, my favourite unit of the season. I kind of wish, then we look at the other 2 units, and this actually kind of sums up a little bit of the theme of the season. They've kind of gone a little bit the same way they did with the Romans. Rather than doing the professional Roman army, they went into the sort of slightly mythical, slightly fantasy gladiator side, and they've kind of done the same with their Persian season. Rather than doing immortals, you know, hard, stand fast, big shield, spear infantry, they've kind of gone Prince of Persia a little bit. And I personally, and this is on a personal level, I kind of prefer the more historically accurate, slightly more gritty, real infantry units. And so I kind of wish we had a little bit more of that. It's kind of the same in this as it is with the Roman season. You know, I'd rather have less Prince of Persia, less someone dancing around with a dagger, more sort of hardened infantry. Personal preference, though, I suppose. Kind of interested to see what you guys think about that in the comments, though. Am I the only one who thinks like that, or do some of you agree with me? The tier 3 kind of sounds interesting, though. Close range melee unit, scimitars throwing knives. Presumably they're going to act fairly similar to the Dibachari we just had this season. A bit similar to Wars of Ragnarok. Sons of Fenrir. In my Viking terms mixed up. So it'll be interesting to see how that deploys. Then we've got the Hash Assassins. We'll go with something like that. Which are going to kind of be like a stealth attack unit. We're not kind of sure how that's going to work. Really need to see some of the abilities, kind of how they're going to play out. Don't really know on that one. Kind of interesting though. This is a really good bit. Revamp maps. Love Carrot Castle. Everyone's favourite map is Reginopolis. If any of you don't like Reginopolis, then, well, I don't know. You're weird. It's easily the best map. So I'm glad they're bringing it back. They've obviously revamped it. Hopefully they've not ruined it. But really pleased to see that sort of as a map coming back into the gameplay because it's just the best map. Reggie is just such an awesome map, and I'm really pleased to see that coming back. So then that leads us on to the territory war changes. They haven't actually changed any necessarily of the core mechanics, but they have changed a little bit how they're going to deal with rewards in territory wars. So currently, essentially, you own land, you basically fight all the way through, and at the end, you get triumph, which you can spend in the Imperial store. But that's right at the end of the season, and it's determined by how many campaign stuff you completed, how much land you hold at the end. That means you could do really well all the way through the season, and then it all goes to pot in the last minute, and then you don't get that many rewards. So they're essentially distributing that a lot better throughout the season now, and they're going to be awarding triumph based on wins, territory held, etc. as you go through the early, mid, and late part of territory wars. And that's going to be available in the territory wars shop. So it's going to make it a lot easier to get treaties, etc., and things like that. And that's something they're working on. So, yeah, I think that's a good thing. I don't really do territory wars myself, but kind of interested to see how they've been updating it since I last played it. Well, I was last playing territory wars the pre-season, sort of up to about season 1, so it feels like an absolute lifetime ago. So, moving on from that, obviously they do all the usual pre-order stuff, which I'm not a huge fan of. I'm sure we're going to end up getting a pre-order for their new hero as well, which I kind of disapprove of, but there we go. Then that leads us on, they're going to be doing the rune system again. Fine, we'll have to wait to see what runes they actually end up deploying into the game. I doubt it's going to be anything hugely radical, but we'll kind of wait. We'll get the preview event on the 18th, and we'll actually be able to get to see that a little bit more. And they then have changed a little bit how the doctrine system is going to work. So to try and kind of simplify this fairly long article down, they are saying that it's too difficult to acquire certain doctrines for some players, and it's kind of causing a disparity between existing players and newer players who are then struggling to get them, which I don't entirely disagree with. I think probably trying to get some things. I mean, I've still not got an arrow rain doctrine, and I've been playing this game for all of eternity. So, yeah, I kind of get the point they're saying, and I kind of understanding it. So, is what they're doing, they're introducing, what did they call it? Doctrine acquisition, as a way of basically selecting and picking some of the epic doctrines you want. You're going to be able to get up to 2 of them, I think, per season, and that'll allow you to select. I suppose in many ways it doesn't necessarily feel radically different to the doctrine selection boxes that are currently available. That'll be kind of interesting to see. I'm assuming this here is the double shot doctrine, so they are obviously giving out perhaps some decent ones, and this actually might be the arrow rain, so I'll certainly be taking that if that is an option. That's kind of something that's interesting that they're going to do, but they're also introducing doctrine fusion, which is where if you've got loads of old doctrines or low quality doctrines that you're not really doing anything with, currently you can kind of break them down into principles, something like that, and then you can get treaties with that. But essentially they're going to make it now where you can fuse your old doctrines together to make better ones, I think. Seems to be the idea. So it'll be kind of interesting. It does say the doctrines you can create cannot be attained by treatises, so it sounds like these are not going to be doctrines from the normal doctrine selection, are going to be a newer selection of doctrines, different things, which will be kind of interesting to see. Again, we don't have any details about what they are or what they're going to be, so kind of leaves it a little bit open, but interesting all the less to see. And then finally, we get doctrine components, which you're going to be earning in matchmaking battles, so sieges, field battles, etc. And it's a system, it seems like you're going to be able to sort of earn multiple components to forge a new type of doctrine. So, yeah, that's kind of interesting to see. It's a little hard to get your head around it, I find, from just the news article. I've read it like 3 times now, and I kind of get the ideas of what they're going for, but until you actually get into game and try it out, it's a little bit hard to really get your head around it. So it's kind of a we'll see. Of course, they're going to have the usual season preview event. In this case, it's going to kick off on November the 18th at 5:30 CET. So that's 4:30 UK time, 5:30 European time. As normal, they'll do the community managers first. They normally do sort of a half an hour stream, and then hopefully we should be able to get into game, and then we can go through and answer specific questions and content, etc. I should be going live. Hopefully, I'll be back home and have managed to update the PTR client by then. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Though I should be on from. I'll probably start streaming their stream at 5:30 CET, and then I'll be able to actually get in game at sort of 6, something like that. And you could ask all your questions then. I'll be doing that over on YouTube. Anyway, I think that probably about wraps it up. Kind of exciting, quite a lot coming, quite a lot changing, which is kind of nice to see that they are making changes. Changes are certainly needed. I mean, the game feels like it's a little bit in decline in terms of the player base, so kind of good they're going for it. Just have a few hesitations and hope they've considered some of the implications of some of the units that they might be deploying. Anyway, do let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you agree with me? Do you think I'm completely wrong? Let me know in the comments, and I shall see you guys all on the next one.